Hello guys, Aditya here. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about something that is not very often talked about anywhere actually. I've tried to search up on this topic on media, news, articles, on internet, nowhere. I get absolutely no response about it. Uh, okay, so I'll just dive straight into it. The today's topic is actually toxicity in private companies. Yes. Okay. So as far as harassment is concerned in any environment, in companies, outside companies, local, social, whatever, I think sexual harassment is very well pointed out. You know, it is very well talked about. Uh, there are various organizations that take care of it, but mental harassment is something that is not very well taken care of. There aren't a lot of laws. There aren't a lot of considerations for these sort of cases. Now, mental harassment can be classified, not classified, but it can be looked at from a lot of different perspectives. It's a very subjective topic. You cannot just say, okay, so this is mental harassment. Situation to situation to situation, it varies on the temperament on the of the person on the receiving end. It varies in the temperament of the person who is at the giving end. Eventually, bottom line is the toxicity in work environment. There are sometimes, first of all, I just want to put forward a few things. The number one thing that uh, any country is concerned about is the employment rate, GDP, that sort of thing, which is a very grand level thing. It's a nationwide thing. It's not exactly. I'm sure there must be an effect somewhere, but it's not exactly touching the chords of someone who is a middle class person who is going about their own work, their own life. It doesn't really uh, make a very big vibration in the chords attached to them. Okay, what they're more concerned about is the overall positivity in the environment and society in which we live in. Okay, so you know after GDP and employment, as soon as somebody announces that India, let's talk about India. Okay, so India has X number of empl- X number of jobs. There's employment rising. There's new companies investing in India. There is foreign direct investment, so on and so forth. Uh, which obviously pushes the youth to work hard, to be good at their job, and all these sort of things, which is a very great thing. I'm all for it. The problem is when the youth who is working hard for the job, who studies in their respective fields, reaches the corporation, reaches the big company as an employee. The problem is that bureaucratic mindset of an Indian, or the Indian ecosystem, or it just it doesn't really go away. It has just taken a different shape. It has molded into something else. Usually, earlier it was zamindars and all these sort of things. Then there is this monopoly of businesses. Okay, we are going to be in this business, so we are going to monopolize it. We are going to use muscle and all that in this thing. Now it has just manipulated into something else. It has manipulated itself into a bureaucratic power in companies, or yeah. So again, uh, when somebody reaches in these companies, they are apart from the the challenges of the work, they also face different challenge of pleasing the person who is right above them, or pleasing the person who is directly responsible for their employment or their success, somebody who will help them to climb that corporate ladder. Now, we have been fed enough of the cultural, uh, the Western culture. We have fed enough of the the literature of the corporations, that today's youth is actually uh, submitted to this idea that once you start working, once you get into corporates, once you start a private job, then for only fight for survival is to climb that corporate ladder. Nobody says, nobody raises a finger, nobody raises a voice against unethical things. Nobody raises their voice against immoral things, immoral decisions, stupid decisions. You know, that's one side of it. Another side of it is, working extra hours, working through weekends, working through, you know, currently it's work from home scenario a lot of places. So it has become a 24-hour job, that somebody just calls you anytime, because it's a company and it's work and you can't afford to do these sort of things. You can afford to let it go, or you can afford to possibly say to your superior ki bhai aaj, today is weekend, or today is, it's 9 p.m. I won't be taking up work now. So today's youth is actually very much stressed, trapped in these sort of this vicious circle. And after an ambitious person, and an ambitious youth, 22 becomes a dull, just another pawn in the whole chess game, just another pawn. He's just moving forward, he's just trying to look out for himself. He somewhere loses himself. Yeah, this I've seen, because I work in a private company. So yeah, you guessed it. I've seen it in front of me. So many people going dull, so many people going boring, or so many people just straight out becoming the other way. They become straight out assholes. Nice people. After 4 or 5 years, they become absolute fucking assholes, and all they care about is their increment the next year. All they care about is the next career hike, next career jump, next company, this, that. Again, what is at loss here? You know, so this is the pattern that I have observed. Uh, Employment, study, education, that's one side. But where are the ethics? Where is that voice that uh, that enables you to say, you know, say that something is wrong, or something is toxic, or something is not acceptable? uh, it's all about creating that confidence in the youth, right? I mean, our youth should be confident. Otherwise, like we Indians pride ourselves on this thing, this thing that we are the IT giants, and we are the software, we're the software guys and all that. But without that confidence, without that ethics, without that something morally, uh, unless our minds are morally rooted, we won't ever be able to produce something that is, how do you say, that is comparable to the big IT giants. We will always be the, what do we say, sepoys. That's a nice word. We will always be sepoys for these other tech giants. And who are these tech giants? Who controls these tech giants? These tech giants are controlled by people who actually had confidence, who actually had the balls to say no, whatever was unethical, to Okay, so that is the difference. These tech giants are controlled by people who believed in themselves, who believe that certain thing XYZ is, if it is, I'm not saying that please be an erratic schmuck. Don't be that. Be reasonable, but also recognize the exploitation that is done on the name of employment and on the name of corporation and on the name of climbing the corporate ladder. A guy who questions a guy in the corporate environment who questions their supervisor on their decision has to be afraid that he might not be given enough chances in the next incremental cycle, in the next cycle when people will be promoted. They actually have to think all that before saying a single courageous word that, sir, maybe you're wrong. They have to think all that. And this actually happens. This is not fiction. I've worked in corporation. I know. So it's overall it's very toxic. So this is another something that our youth should be aware of. Our not if not exactly government, then somebody maybe have our own union who looks after the interests of the employees in the private sector, something like that. That encourages people, that gives people the courage to have your own voice, to have your own beliefs, to have to not be treated as a slave. It's the pressure of the corporation and the corporate ladder should not ride you. Okay, it should not become your life and possess you entirely. I think that is important because not just for the well-being of our physical being and mental being, but also because we want to do something good or contribute something to this nation, to this society, to humankind. then it has to then the only way to do that is once we feel self-confident or once we know ourselves, once we have a voice, only then we can deliver or create something good or substantial. Otherwise, we'll always be just the sepoys for these other tech giants. Something to think about. Okay, guys. So we'll come again. We'll talk again on some other topic. Until then, please like, share, subscribe, and put your thoughts in the comments. Okay, and yeah, this is a new channel. I'll be making more videos with better production quality, hopefully, and let's see. Till then, bye bye. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.